Hey there, science friends! Let's talk about something that's happening right under our feet, literally. Deep within the Earth, there are vast underground reservoirs of water called aquifers. This is our planet's groundwater. For generations, we humans have been drilling wells and pumping this water up to the surface. We use it to grow our food, to run our industries, and to supply our cities with fresh drinking water. It's an incredibly valuable resource, one that has allowed civilizations to flourish in places where surface water like rivers and lakes is scarce. Think about it. A hidden ocean of fresh water just waiting for us to tap into it. It's a remarkable feature of our planet's geology, but here's the thing. We've been pumping it out at an incredible rate. Imagine billions upon billions of straws sipping water from a giant underground cup. From 1993 to 2010 alone, scientists estimate that humanity pumped out over 2,150 gigatons of groundwater. That's a number so big it's hard to even imagine. It's like draining a lake the size of Lake Superior, and then some. This massive extraction is happening all over the world, but it's especially intense in places like northwestern India and the Central Valley in California, where agriculture depends heavily on this hidden water source. We are fundamentally changing the water cycle on a global scale. So where does all this water go? Once we pump it up and use it, for irrigating crops for instance, it doesn't just disappear. Much of it evaporates into the atmosphere, becomes part of the weather cycle, and eventually falls back down as rain. However, a significant portion of it flows over the land into rivers, and ultimately makes its way to the world's oceans. We are essentially taking water that was locked away deep inside the continents and relocating it into the vast open seas. This process represents one of the largest movements of mass on the planet's surface caused by human activity. It's a slow-motion migration of water on a planetary scale. This shift of mass is not trivial. Think about the sheer weight of all that water. A single gallon of water weighs about 8.34 pounds, or around 3.8 kilograms. Now multiply that by the trillions of gallons we've moved. We are talking about a mind-boggling amount of weight that has been redistributed from the land masses to the oceans. Before, this weight was spread out within the continents. Now, it has been consolidated into the ocean basins. This is not just a local issue of a well running dry. It's a global phenomenon where our collective actions are physically altering the distribution of mass on our home planet. Consider that for a moment. Our thirst is changing the very geography of Earth's weight. Now, you might be thinking, Bill, that's a lot of water, but how can it possibly affect the whole planet's spin? Well, it's all about physics. Specifically, it's about the conservation of angular momentum. Let's imagine a figure skater spinning on the ice. When she wants to spin faster, what does she do? She pulls her arms in close to her body. When she wants to slow down, she extends her arms out. By changing where her mass is located relative to her axis of rotation, she can control the speed of her spin. It's a fundamental principle of how spinning objects behave, from a simple toy top to a ballerina to an entire planet. Our Earth is like that figure skater. It's constantly spinning on its rotational axis, which is the imaginary line that runs through the North and South poles. The distribution of mass on the planet, the location of mountains, oceans, and even ice sheets affects how it spins. If you move a significant amount of weight around on the surface, you are going to change the planet's balance, just like the skater moving her arms. Shifting trillions of tons of water from underground aquifers on land to the oceans is like the skater extending one arm out. It changes the planet's moment of inertia, causing the axis of rotation to wobble and drift. This isn't just a theory. Scientists have observed it happening. The Earth's rotational pole naturally drifts and wobbles a little bit over time due to things like ocean currents and the slow movement of molten rock in the mantle. But since the 1990s, researchers noticed something new. The pole started drifting eastward much faster than it had before. For a long time, the primary driver for this polar drift was thought to be melting glaciers and ice sheets. While that is a huge factor, it didn't fully explain the speed and direction of the change. It was a real scientific puzzle that had experts scratching their heads. The missing piece of that puzzle, it turns out, was groundwater. Once scientists factored in the massive amount of water we've pumped from the ground and moved to the oceans, their models finally matched the real-world observations. The redistribution of water from the mid-latitudes, where places like India and California are located, had a particularly strong effect on the eastward drift of the pole. It was the aha moment that showed just how powerful our collective impact on the planet has become. We are not just living on Earth, we are actively, physically changing how it moves through space. It's pretty amazing and a little bit scary when you think about it. So the Earth is wobbling a bit more because of our water use. Why should we care? A tiny shift in the planet's axis might not sound like a big deal, but it's a symptom of a much larger problem with serious consequences for all of us. This polar drift, while not something you'd feel day to day, has the potential to influence long-term climate patterns. The position of the poles helps determine the angle at which sunlight hits different parts of the Earth, which in turn drives our seasons and weather systems. Altering this, even slightly, over geological timescales could have unforeseen effects on the stability of the climate we all depend on. One of the most direct consequences of moving all this groundwater into the oceans is, of course, sea level rise. When we take water that was stored on land and add it to the sea, the water level goes up. It's that simple. Scientists have calculated that groundwater pumping has contributed a significant amount to the sea level rise we've observed over the past few decades. While melting glaciers are the biggest contributor, our groundwater use is a major part of the story. This puts coastal communities, ecosystems, and economies all over the world at greater risk from flooding, storm surges, and saltwater intrusion into their freshwater sources. Beyond the global effects, the sources of this problem, those areas of heavy groundwater pumping, are facing their own crises. In places like California's Central Valley, decades of overpumping have caused the land itself to sink, a phenomenon called subsidence. This damages infrastructure like roads, bridges, and canals. In northwestern India, millions of farmers rely on groundwater to irrigate their crops and feed a massive population, but water tables are dropping at alarming rates. This creates a precarious situation of water insecurity, where the very resource that built a region's prosperity is now threatening its future. It's a classic case of short-term gain leading to long-term pain. This whole situation is a powerful reminder that our planet is an interconnected system. The water we pump in one part of the world doesn't just stay there. Its effects ripple outwards. The demand for food in one country can lead to groundwater depletion in another, which contributes to sea level rise that affects a third. And it all combines to shift the axis of the entire planet. We can no longer think of environmental issues as isolated incidents. The health of our local well is tied to the health of the global ocean and the stability of the Earth itself. It's all one big, beautiful, complex machine, and we are tinkering with its gears. So, what do? We can't just stop using water, but we can be a whole lot smarter about it. The first step is to focus on conservation and efficiency. In agriculture, which is the biggest user of groundwater, we can switch to less water-intensive crops and adopt technologies like drip irrigation, which delivers water directly to the roots of plants instead of spraying it everywhere. In our cities and homes, we can fix leaks, install water-saving appliances, and reuse grey water from sinks and showers for things like watering gardens. Every drop of water we save is a drop that can stay in the ground, helping to keep our planet in balance. Next, we need to actively manage and protect our precious groundwater resources. This means we have to think of aquifers not as an endless bank account, but as a savings account we need to replenish. One exciting idea is called managed aquifer recharge. This involves capturing excess water during rainy seasons, from storm runoff or overflowing rivers, and directing it back underground to refill the aquifers. It's like making a deposit back into our planetary water savings account. By carefully monitoring water levels and setting sustainable limits on how much can be pumped, we can ensure these resources are available for future generations. Because water crosses borders and the effects are global, international cooperation is absolutely essential. Countries need to work together to share data, technology, and best practices for sustainable water management. We need agreements that recognize groundwater as a shared resource and promote its responsible use everywhere. When one region overpumps its aquifers, the effects are felt around the world through sea level rise and the shift in Earth's axis. This is a planetary problem that requires planetary solutions. We are all crew members on this spaceship Earth, and we need to work together to keep it running smoothly. Ultimately, this story of our planet's wobble is a profound lesson in cause and effect. It shows that our actions, even those that seem small or local, can add up to have a global impact. We have the science, we have the ingenuity, and we have the ability to make better choices. By embracing sustainable water practices, protecting our natural resources, and working together as a global community, we can ease the strain on our planet. We can restore a little bit of its balance. Taking responsibility for the health of our planet isn't just a good idea. It's critical for our own survival. Let's get to work.